Hello everyone and welcome to Empowering the Conscious Business Evolution Talk with me, Antonina Manev, for some fresh, thought-provoking and liberating conversations about inspiring the sparks of innovation and evolution and growing a bigger and a wider world of ethically successful and consciously evolving business environment. For those who tune in for the first time, I'm the founder of Visions Inspire Strategic Business Growth Consultancy. As a business strategist, my focus is on turning visions into profitable businesses, be it for startups or established businesses. So in my area of work, evolving the business consciousness is a key element. You can find out more about my inspiring work by visiting the website www.visionsinspire.com. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel or like my Facebook page or connect on LinkedIn with me. Business owners work with me, looking to increase usually their business cash flow and profits and create a secure financial future so they fully enjoy a greater lifestyle and balance. However, along the way, the main obstacle appears to be the uncomfortable mindset of conformity, which accepts limitations in business making and development, or even growing in order to fit in an old custom conventional framework of business making that holds them back, and all that at the expense of their true identity. But how we even start to break up these frames? Well, we'll have to try. In my interviews, video or audio, I will be introducing you to exceptional business leaders, owners, and creators who have reached great success in what they do, not because they worked hard to fit in, but by challenging the status quo and constantly innovating themselves and their businesses, by searching back to their authentic roots to follow the person-business environment connection, and by taking approaches of consciously evolving to align with a higher social and earth value through their creativity, identity, and co-creative forward thinking. So be prepared, all my guests have left valuable tips and inspirational words of wisdom for you to take and do your best to outshine the conventional and grow yourself and business aligned with higher values. All their interviews are playing on the Visions Inspire YouTube podcast channel. Happy listening and happy learning and growing. Hello! Hi everyone, and I'm so happy to introduce you today my guest, Alyson Essex, founder of the elite hashtag PR company, giving brands a voice in today's multifaceted media environment. Ali, welcome and thank you. Really, thank you for coming today. I know you had a very busy day and it is past 5 o'clock now, but the sunshine is still out. And thank you very much for taking the time. Ali, I just want to tell the listeners and the viewers what I'm looking at right now. I mean, yes, okay. Hashtag PR company, it sounds fabulous, but I feel like a tiny little person looking through the listed clients you have worked with. FedEx, can you imagine? Follow My Lead, Talia Naomi. This is all you. HarperCollins Publishers, all your clients, Estee Lauder, Universal Pictures. I'm just reading them out. Yep. Universal Pictures.
Warner Brothers.
Time Warner.
Yeah.
Warner Music Group.
Yep.
And the Warner Brothers Pictures.
Yep.
And even the Stagecoach, the Stagecoach.
Yeah, they're not the drama company, they're the bus company in East London.
Yeah, Sony Music, Cole Palmer, London Mathematical Society. Good Lord. Ali, what are you doing here speaking to me, the tiny little Antonina?
I'm probably, you're talking to me towards the end of my career.
No.
Amazing. Well, that's at the end of my career. But what I'm saying is, I've got a lot of experience. I've got 40 years experience in advertising and marketing and communications. So, there's not many businesses I haven't worked with, and there's not much change I haven't seen. I mean, when I started in the industry, we didn't even have computers. Look where we are now.
Yeah. But with so many years of hands-on experience, I just, I'm blown away. It's not that I didn't know, but it's just preparing for today, going through everything about you with so many years of experience, hands-on experience. What excites you in this new age, noisy media world?
Do you know what excites me? Doing a good job.
How do you do a good job? How do you do a good job?
I've just got such a strong work ethic in me, and I'm old school. I worked my way through the business, and you're absolutely right, up until 6 years ago, my whole world was driven by corporate clients. And it's a very different arena to working with SMEs, which is what I'm doing now. I've got a nice combination of clients, some that use me on a monthly basis and some that dip in and out when they need my services. The difference for me, working with SMEs, you can actually make a real difference to their business. You can make a real difference to their future.
Why?
As a corporate, you're doing a good job and you get paid, but you're expected to do a good job, and so you should be. But working with an SME and actually helping them grow their business and seeing that growth happen is my reward. I mean, one of my clients I started to work with last summer on social media, and I'm only doing Facebook. She does her own Instagram, has tripled the size of her business.
In what period of time?
A year.
In a year?
Yeah.
So that's what #PR Company is about.
I'm about helping people reach new markets, standing out in a very crowded marketplace. It's all very well being on social media, but unless people stop and look at your posts, you're wasting your time. So you've got to have arresting images, you've got to have engaging copy, and you've got to speak to them in a language and understand. And that's a challenge for me, because I've got 8 or 9 regular social media clients, and they've all got very different businesses, very different target markets, and very different focuses. So I'm like a chameleon. I'm constantly changing what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with.
I can see it. I'm looking at the services: strategic planning, campaign and project management, events and production, crisis communications.
Yeah, I don't do so much of that classical PR anymore, but I have done in the past. But it's a service I can provide. So I leave it there. But, typically people will go to a straight, just PR agency that just does nothing but manage problems. Crisis communications, it was huge a year ago when COVID hit, you can imagine. All the companies. A colleague of mine works in PR, and that's all she does. So if I got that sort of work, I'd probably partner with her, because I'm a great believer in playing to people's strengths as well.
And collaborations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, today's world has changed so much compared to 5 years ago. I mean, look at us today. Everything has to be for a business, needs to be synchronized. You need to have a strategy, but that strategy is always linked with the social media in some ways, or in many ways actually. It is always linked. You're someone with no voice if you don't have the channel to speak through the media. I mean, and when I say media, I mean online.
What's interesting is, I started in the late 70s in Soho, in a big advertising agency, and it was all print advertising. And, Sunday Times, Financial Times, Daily Telegraph, all the nationals, all the regionals, all the magazines. And, you know, a small advert in the Telegraph or the Sunday Times, that sort of size, half page A4, will cost £6,000 to £8,000. What people don't realise now is that social media is a brilliant, brilliant way of reaching people very, very cost effectively. Whether it's your time putting a post together, you're paying someone like me to do it for you, or you're spending money in the back office with Facebook adverts, it's an incredibly cost-effective way to reach people. But I don't think it should be the be-all and end-all either. I watch people rant on about social media like nothing else ever existed before, and where I feel I can help businesses in bridging the gap between my background and what I'm doing now is taking a holistic overview of everything. So I'm not just looking at their social media, I'm looking at their marketing funnel, I'm looking at their sales tactics, I'm looking at their branding, I'm looking at the language they use, I'm looking at their brand values, I'm looking about how they communicate internally and externally with people, how they present themselves, what do their staff say about them, is that the image they want to project, is that the image that people outside think of them? I'm looking at the whole picture.
It is so
yeah, I mean, look, if somebody comes to me and says, just do me a social media campaign, of course I will. I'm not going to say no.
But you have to open their eyes for the rest as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, you know, but sometimes it's about building trust and working with people as well. So if somebody, you know, when I get a new social media client, for example, great example, I got one last week, menswear brand, never met the guy. Called me up out of the blue, someone recommended me, asked me to put a proposal together, put the proposal together, rang him last Monday. Oh, I didn't, I followed it up with email just to say, any questions? Have you given it any more thought? Yes, I want to go with you. Can we get some posts out today? So, you know, it was all hands to the pump, got it done. But, you know, for me, it's about working with somebody for a few weeks, gaining their trust, getting to understand them, getting to know their likes and dislikes. It's always quite nerve-wracking for me during the first campaigns with people, especially if they're not people I know, because I have no idea what his taste is. It's all very subjective creative work. And I like to push the boundaries. So in doing that, you know, I say to my clients, if I come in with an idea that's too far down the line, just tone me back, because that's how I work.
Pushing the boundaries.
Well, if you
have to, yeah, I totally get it. This is exactly what I do.
You have to, it's like elastic, isn't it? People will stay here if you don't move them.
Yeah.
And you pull them to, it's too far, but it's
the stretch zone.
Boundaries, you can show them what's possible.
Yes.
And it may not be now, but it might be in a year's time. And what it will allow you to do is give them measurable steps to get there. One of the most successful campaigns, and I have to tell you because I'm just so proud of this, I ever did, was with the Royal Society of Chemistry. They're a huge organisation. They're a massive charity. They're a massive publisher in their own right. And I did all the marketing PR for them across the board. So we promoted all their conferences, we did all their literature, I even helped them recruit staff. And I worked with their education department, and that was the challenge for me, because the education department were struggling. This was in the 90s. Lots of students weren't taking chemistry, but it became the chemical sciences at GCSE and A-level. And there was going to be a real problem 5 years down the line in industry with scientists, medics, getting people through the net to qualify for those roles that needed that science background. So I was working with Glaxo. I worked with Glaxo through 3 mergers. And they were a huge account for me. And I'm still, we talk about trust and relationships. I'm still in contact with the key people there now. And I haven't worked with them for 20 years. No, sorry, 15 years, I would say. I haven't worked with them before. Wow. But they introduced me to the Royal Society of Chemistry, and they paid for all the production of the advert. And what the Royal Society of Chemistry gave me was that much research.
Like that thick?
Yeah, in raw form. It hadn't even been written up. Go away and just... So I'm very good at scan. What came out of it was students thought chemistry was about sitting on a bench in a lab wearing a white coat. And they wanted me to promote careers outside the lab. So I had my heading. I had my heading for the most successful poster campaign I've ever done. Not all chemists wear white coats. And it just showed chemists outside the lab in different environments. So you had and part of the brief is get more females doing it as well. So we had a female diver with a dolphin. We had a man on the Antarctic with the penguins. Every kid across the country between the ages of 11 and 16 got these posters. They had them up on their walls. They were cool, they were trendy. And we raised the national average over a 5-year period by nearly 1%.
So what was the key there? What was the key?
The key for me,
yes,
the research.
Do the research. And get the experience side of it.
We had people's views. We had people's understanding of what they thought chemistry was. And they all thought chemistry was sitting on a bench in a lab wearing a white coat, when it couldn't have been further from the truth. So that gave us the platform to launch the same headline with loads and loads of different images. The posters were big. They were like A2. And they really got the message across. I mean, you don't need fancy, clever headlines. Sometimes just say it as it is.
Yeah, I did read one of your posts where you were talking about the power of the image. And nowadays, because we are so saturated with images, and words and big shouts from here and there, that we have kind of numbed our senses towards shouts and words, and we just want to see, flick. As I mentioned to you just before we started recording, something came across my eyes and immediately just spurred a huge idea and a challenge, I suppose.
We're visual creatures.
Yeah.
We respond better to pictures and colour than we do to words, and it's that simple. And words are very powerful, but they can also be very damaging. And, you just got to be very careful how you use those words. But with images, you can have a lot of fun, and I love it. I mean, I ran my own advertising agency up until 2015. So I oversaw it all. I had 15, 16 members of staff. We had fabulous accounts, and we were doing everything for some of the clients that we work with. But I never really, I always loved the operational side of it, doing the work. But I never got involved in the design because I had 2 full-time designers working in there on a daily basis that were designing ads, designing online banners, websites, what have you. So in the last 5-6 years, I made the decision to move my business and just work as a consultant rather than having people on the payroll and bring in expertise as and when I need it. Because, I mean, otherwise I could be wasting money having a skill set sitting there that when someone wants something else. Lots of people, when it comes to website design now, are talking about HubSpot, because HubSpot is actually a CRM. But I was asked to design a website 8 years ago in HubSpot, and I could not find a single developer in this country. I had to go to South Africa to get somebody to do it.
To do it that way.
It's pointless me having somebody that works on WordPress if I then get a brief for HubSpot. So I made that decision. I'll bring in the right people for the jobs when I have those jobs, because as you can imagine, I've worked with a hell of a lot of amazing people over the years, very talented creatives, and I can draw in on that. But so because I'm very much working on my own and bringing in those skills, I've taught myself a lot of stuff in the last 6 years that I didn't do before. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm now doing design myself, and I'm now doing images, and I'm now working with clients. So somebody could come to me and say, look, I'm very happy writing my own posts on social media, but can you go and source me some images? And I will do that, and I'll brand them for them. And I love that side of things because I just get lost doing it. I really do.
Because it is creative, and when you're in the creative zone, you just don't feel time passing by.
I mean, listen, I'm actually quite an interesting balance because I was always admin, very attention to detail and admin. And the way I started copywriting was ridiculous. We were doing a brochure for Whitbread. We had a freelance writer working on it who, unfortunately, well, he had some issues. He drank too much. And he let my business partner down on a previous job. So I briefed him on this job. It was a pitch for the pub business, all their inns. And I said, look, I don't want you giving me second-rate work at 11 o'clock at night when you've had one too many. Because he was working in the day. And I was like, yeah, I'm very black and white. I said, if you do, I'm going to sack you. And he did, because he couldn't help himself.
Oh, God.
And I couldn't get another writer to finish the job.
So you had to become the one.
I had 2 days. So I did it and we won it. And that was it. I've been writing my own stuff ever since.
Beautiful challenges, aren't they?
What?
Beautiful challenges.
They are. And you know what? I think, what we have to understand is life is full of challenges, whether it's personal or business. And you've got to embrace them.
Yeah. I was going to ask, how do you tackle challenges?
I go into panic mode and then I embrace them. I go, for an hour. What am I going to do? How am I going to cope with this? And then I pull myself together and I come out with my genius. One of the most interesting jobs I did on the writing front was for blockchain, blockbid, and cryptocurrency. And it was basically editing a 10, 15,000 word document down to 350 words. Not only did I have to learn what it meant, I had no idea about any of it. I had to look up words. This 4-hour job took me 8 hours. Wow. Because I didn't know anything about it, and I was using it to further my knowledge and as research. But that's the thing. I love learning.
Isn't it what we constantly do in business? We get on, we're hit by a challenge and we have to learn to do it and evolve and keep learning on and on and on.
Well, that's the key to successful business: evolving, adapting, and being able to deal with those challenges. Well, even dealing with the challenge, even if dealing in that challenge, you recognize that actually I can't do this, I need some help. It doesn't matter, you're still dealing with it.
Yeah. And while we're on that topic, what are your views on co-creation? I've seen some very I don't believe in doing them for the sake of it. I think if you've got a good reason to collaborate and you can come up with a very creative offer, I think it's an excellent idea. But not just for the sake of it. So, when I talk about people that have given me work and I've worked with on shared accounts, on some of the social media accounts, I'm working with a very experienced SEO woman. You can say names.
Oh, Sylvia De Corso. And she's doing the SEO and she's referred those clients to me. Mm. But what she's doing, and this is where what she does is brilliant. I mean, she is amazing. And I'm learning from her, interestingly. And that's the other thing I love. Never stop learning, because then you're dead. But back to where I was. She will send me the keywords that she's working on for the shared clients we work on together, where every month when she defines them, and then I will use that and try and plan those words into the content of my social media posts so that it gives a more powerful experience back to the SEO. And what difference, as long as I can use those words and they fit in with what I'm saying,
then they fit back into the SEO. So what is the feeling when you work together with someone towards achieving a goal? Can you describe that feeling to me? Because it is not just a job, you are creating something together.
It's actually exciting. The site was already there. I haven't created anything with her on either of these clients. In that instance, they were clients that she's been working with. In fact, one of them who came through to me 6 weeks ago, she messaged him last September to talk to me. But obviously we're in the thick of COVID and people weren't making that a priority. So she does her bit and I do my bit, but we communicate. So by communicating with each other, and if I wasn't working with her, I mean, I've worked on lots of social media accounts over the years, but the last 6 years, but nobody's ever done what she's done in terms of sending me the keywords to build into the content. And there's mixed response on whether it works or not. But actually, I think it's brand reinforcement and brand consistency that brings anyway. Because if you're writing posts, you should be using the same tone of voice across your business. Obviously, you're going to change it depending on who your audience is. If you're speaking, chartered professionals, it's going to be very different than if you're having a chat with graduates. But essentially, those brand values should run through everything you say and do and think and feel.
Okay, I love that. And another word I want to throw in and check your views on that, and you can be completely honest, seriously. What are your views on competition, and how do you think it is used by the old form business models to create exclusivity? Is it too complex? Shall I break it down? Okay, what is your view? What are your views on competition? On the notion of competition? Bring it on.
There's enough room for all of us to thrive. And I will tell you a little story, because there's somebody, and this is the post we did on LinkedIn today. There's a lady that I know through a networking group, and all I know is she does marketing. Well, I do marketing. Marketing is a very big word.
Yes.
Right? And actually, marketing is lots of different things. But so, you could say she's technically in competition with me. I've never met her, despite the fact there's been physical network groups. And her name came up a few months ago in conversation. And I thought, let's phone her. I phoned her. Now, I didn't see her as direct competition, but she was seen as a competitor. We got on a Zoom. We hit it off immediately. We're very like-minded. That was 3-4 weeks ago. We both given each other clients. So the post I actually did today on LinkedIn talks about, do you embrace your competitors or run away from them? But I think it's really important to know what your competitors are doing.
Yes.
I want to know what every single competitor of mine is charging, who they're working with, what their approach is, so that I can make sure I'm better.
Yes, so that you can flex. You can bring in something more, something different, if you can.
But the biggest problem in our industry is, particularly on the social media side, not so much on the marketing strategy side or some of the other work I've done. There are people out there that are offering social media content a quarter of the price. And I'm not expensive. I'm a lesser rate on social media than I am for my marketing strategy, but they're so cheap.
Are they good, though?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know, but I can tell you two things. I did 2 pitches, right? I did a big pitch to a mindfulness organization. And they literally phoned me up. Can you put a proposal in for what we need to do? On LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. I knew who they were using. And when I went on and looked at this website, they sell bundles. I knew that I was wasting my time even going for it, because I knew they wouldn't pay my rate if that's what they were getting, right? But they also, part of the brief was they weren't getting engagement. But when I went onto Instagram, they were using, whoever was doing it, so my dog's here, leg on my knee, they were doing, do you want to be on TV? Do you want to be on TV, Freddie?
Come on.
He's going to bark in a minute. I'll stroke him so he won't bark. Hopefully we can continue this. I forgot what I was saying.
So we were talking about the...
So on Instagram, they were using the same 6 hashtags on every post, and they weren't maximizing the medium properly. You've got 30 hashtags on Instagram, and they should change every single time. And when I write, I have one of my clients is an art and big jewelry dealer. Every post I do for him, it takes me 30 minutes just on the hashtags, because I'm qualifying every single one. I'm not just looking up a list. I'm not using a hashtag generator like some agencies might. I'm physically doing it manually. I'm not choosing hashtags that have got 50 million, because there's no point, just disappear into a big black hole.
Yes.
I'm choosing hashtags that are under 1 million, but I'm then clicking them to make sure they go through to a page that is appropriate. Because if he's selling a vintage antique piece, the last thing we want to do is end up on an Etsy site or a reproduction page or something. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, to do social media properly takes time. And there are so many companies that just bash it out. And when I evaluate other people's work, so they weren't getting the feedback or the results on their social media, and they were posting 6 times a week. And so I actually wrote back and said, you're not getting any engagement. You're posting 6 times a week. Your posts are going nowhere. Cut it down to 3 times a week and do it properly.
Yeah, but that's the point. When you're serious about your business, you have to be serious about what support you're picking up. And many small businesses are going for the cheap. They're going for the self-proclaimed so-called experts, and they think they're gonna, just get away, and they will suddenly get success, and it will be on the cheap side. Well, yes, your success at the end result will be on the cheap side, and those self-proclaimed experts actually end up charging you, taking your money, and not giving guarantees and no results. Because I have to admit, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I did get grabbed by someone like that. But I ended it very quickly. But the manipulation was huge just to get your money, the 200 pounds, just to get the 200 pounds off you and do nothing. I know, stupid. Three years ago, I did it.
But honestly, this is where it comes back to quality, experience, and service. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be someone out there cheaper than you. There's already going to be someone out there that shouts louder than you. There's always going to be somebody that bullshits more than you. And so back to the question, how do I embrace competition? They say you attract your tribe, don't they?
Yeah.
And the people that gravitate towards me are people that want to work with me. And that's not just true as clients, that's true across the networking groups we're part of. Some people hit it off immediately like we did. Other people don't really feel anything for somebody. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I want to work with people that recognize my passion and let me have that creative license. And I'm exceptionally lucky because all my clients do. You trust me.
It is about the notion of the word competition, and I did try to look it up. Why? Because suddenly, I told you yesterday, something came across my eyes, and so that kind of internal conversation kept going on. So I double-checked the definition of the word competition, and it seems that it is totally created by humans. I mean, that negative or that threatening notion of the word competition, it is created by us humans. Because if we talk, if we think about competition in the wider sense, it is the survival of the stronger. It is the natural selection process in nature. But why in we humans decided to use it in such an aggressive way, I cannot think nowadays of competition in a positive way. I mean, I use the words co-creation, collaboration, adding on value, or, you know, working together with someone who maybe does similar thing to you, but you, as you described, you just mash together and you add on different strengths. So why organizations nowadays, they continue to use that connotation of the word, the negative connotation of the word competition, to create themselves and to support themselves, and especially it is the exclusivity that they offer. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's not a negative word at all.
It is not. Okay.
No,
but
you've got to change your thinking on that.
I need to change my thinking on that. I need to change my thinking on that. I love competition.
Oh, you do? Sorry, I misunderstood you. No, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing because it strives to make us better. And if we had no competition, listen, I've always worked in a very competitive environment. You know, the advertising world, stand-up pitches, beauty contests, beauty parades, they used to be called. They're still happening under the radar in a different format. You know, I would say 25 to 30% of the pitches that we used to go on, and they were physical pitches showing them creative ideas, they were never going to move. It was all designed to give their current agency a kickstart, if you like. Yeah, so are you saying that we are using competition in order to not to antagonize ourselves, like some organizations love seeing us do, but to evolve, to be more flexible, to be, as you said, adapt, evolve, flex, grow? Yeah, listen, if you're not adaptable in business, you might as well shut shop now. Because that's what makes the difference between a great business person and an average business person. You know, if I had resisted change in my career, I hate to think where I'd be. I don't know where I'd be. You have to embrace it. Yeah. And I love it, you know, something new, something different to learn. I try and learn something new every day. Yeah, but how do you think when there are new ideas, let's say, when new ideas spring up in the business making ways, in the models, and new ideas spring up, how do you think they resonate with the wider communities? Do you think they are easily accepted, or they feel challenged? And I'm speaking about nowadays. I'm not speaking about 2 years ago. I'm speaking about within the 2 years that we were hit by this. Okay. I don't think you can possibly know what people are going to think of your product or service unless you go and ask them. I'm a big fan of research. So, you know, if anyone came to me and said, I'm thinking of doing this, well, have you got a market for it? What research have you done? Do people want it? Okay. Because if you've got that information behind you, you can then create something that you know people want, and you can supply that demand. But if you've got no research, all you've got is an idea with nothing behind it, no foundation, it's a really good way of losing a lot of money. You know, and I think that's the thing. I don't think you can guess what anyone will think. You've got to go and ask. And research doesn't need to be expensive. You know, what the last 2 years has shown us is that we can all run our worlds online. Yeah. It's not ideal, and it doesn't replace the face-to-face and that energy, but it allows us to be more flexible, and it gives us more choice. You know, I was at a meeting in Bristol lunchtime. Well, there's no way I would have gone to a physical meeting in Bristol because I live in London, but I could go on Zoom. Yeah. And meet some really interesting people out there. So I I think what has really, I'll tell you what's really impressed me in the last 18 months since COVID, the creative thinking that people have had, the way people have managed to morph out of one business into something else, the ideas that it's catapulted people to try something new. And if they've had an idea that they've been mulling over for a while, that was the time to do it. I mean, last March, my business, all my clients stopped because the last thing they wanted to do was continue marketing themselves when they didn't know how long they were going to be closed down for and if they were going to have a business at the end of it. I've got one client who goes into pubs and restaurants and he makes like a themed night. Well, he's still not working. 18 months later, he's still not working.
Sounds like
and that
my
was
kind
the
of guy.
Huh?
Sounds like my kind of guy.
I'll introduce you. But yeah, I listen. It's been horrendous what's happened with COVID, and we could talk about that in a whole other separate conversation.
I know. But
who would have ever thought this was going to happen? But and there's lots of negatives about it, and there's lots of positives. But on the positives, watching the way people have adapted, and the resilience behind the human race, and the creativity that's within us that some people didn't even know they had. I love it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. And, we've seen some incredible businesses. I mean, I was at a network meeting today and somebody's representing a son who does COVID injections, flow tests. What was he doing 18 months ago? He's obviously doing whatever he was doing.
Well, this is a new trade now. Brand new trade.
Oh, yeah, hopefully it won't last forever either. But, I had another client who was health and safety training. He started to sell PPE equipment. He's now doing both.
And they can do it online. Yeah.
But he's out delivering the physical. Even my husband, who was a dog trainer, he was like, what am I going to do? I can't go and train a dog. I can't train a dog over Zoom. I need to be with the dog. My first client at Athena was for him, for a dog.
Go and train the dog.
You could still impart information over Zoom to new dog owners that didn't know what to do with this tiny little puppy they had. And yes, he can't go out and do a recall class like he would in the park, but he still managed to earn something during that time on Zoom.
Because of flexible thinking. Or more likely because there was a woman next to him, behind him, who pushed him towards flexible thinking.
That's more like it.
More like it, yeah. That's how it goes.
The thing was, I went to an Athena Luton meeting and came back and said, I've got your client. I said, you're on Zoom with her tomorrow afternoon, and he had to do it.
That's the woman behind the man.
Whilst he was anti it, actually, he did it. He did it where it was appropriate. And he can still do that. He does a...
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is everybody. And one of the things I decided to do last March when my marketing business died, I've got a wellbeing business, so I threw myself into that, and I was so grateful.
Yes. Would you like to mention about this? Very.
Oh yes, I'm working with an incredible product that stimulates it. It basically, the company I'm working with have got 35 years of science behind them, so they're not new. The product is tried and tested, and it is clinically proven to lower oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. Now, a lot of people don't know what oxidative stress is, and there's a lot more stuff coming out about it. But essentially, it's free radicals attacking our cells. That creates an imbalance between our antioxidants and the free radicals, and something called oxidative stress builds up. It's a bit like having rust on your engine. If you imagine your body's a car, the oxidative stress is the rust.
Yeah.
And the reason it starts to build up as we age is that once we get to sort of our late teens, early 20s, our natural production of everything slows down. So our collagen production slows down, our antioxidant production slows down, and we start the aging process. What this natural combination does, and it's patented, so no one else can make it, it stimulates a protein in our body called the NRF2 pathway to kickstart our antioxidant production naturally back to the levels we had as a teenager. And that in turn gets rid of oxidative stress. So people naturally feel healthier, weller, better, less pain, less inflammation. It's not a cure for anything specific, but oxidative stress is linked to every disease we don't want as we age. So as a preventative, it's amazing. So that's what I was throwing. And for me personally, I've got 2 chronic illnesses that I've had for many years. And I came off my meds last January, having slowed them down for 18 months, with the approval of a big London hospital just before COVID hit. But they hadn't had a chance to update their records. So they had me down as vulnerable. So they were writing to me, telling me to shield, and I've never felt better in my life. So I was very grateful for that business. But what I decided to do, and that really made me feel good actually, was to try and help businesses that were struggling with how they pivot online. Mm. So I was offering free chats to anybody that wanted to have a chat with me about their business and how I could help them get online. And that's how I spent my day.
Yeah, that's exactly what I kept doing.
And you know that was good because, well, it stopped me worrying. I'm a terrible worrier. It stopped me worrying about what's coming back when. It gave me a sense of purpose. I felt good because I could help people. And if I could see somebody actually make a change as a result of a chat with me, that was brilliant. And obviously on the wellbeing side, I had a product that everybody, well, that was really popular because the one thing that everyone's wanted in the last 18 months is good health.
Yeah.
And you can't put a price on that.
And what you just described, the great feeling, helping others feel good about themselves. This is something we kind of saw visually, and we heard about this. It just was an explosion of people like you, like other people who came out there to help, connect, help, just for the sake of making other people feel good and feel well.
Yeah,
and that was part of the good things about the lockdowns. I think
it made people more considerate to others. I think it brought out the best in people, and I think the sense of community that we saw emerge out of it, the level of care that people had in helping others. It actually restored my faith in humanity a little bit, truthfully.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think coming out of the lockdowns, old habits, we will slip into the old habits? Or do you have a faith that we're gonna keep moving forward with and enhancing all the good sides that we discovered?
I don't know. I mean, they're what I think are the good sides. Somebody else may not have even given it any thought. But I think, and I don't know. I mean, I think it depends, on what people were doing before. It's a difficult thing to say, but I would like to think that this has shown people that they do have options. They can change what they're doing. They can adapt. And if they have got, and if they're clever, they'll take the best of it all and create something that represents that.
I love that. You just summed up everything, what the empowering the conscious business evolution is. Because now we know we have the options, and it is up to us to choose to take them and embrace them.
I mean, the wellbeing business I've got is an amazing example of how you can run a business globally on your phone I mean, really, I could go onto my website. I can go into any of the countries that we're working on. I can click a link. I can send it on WhatsApp, Messenger, email, blah, blah, blah. Somebody orders the products. I get a commission. Oh, and we've got an app. So we've got an app, actually. I could run all my business through that app if I wanted to, actually.
There you go.
So what I'm saying is, you know, and well, it's the gig economy, isn't it? And Uber changed all that. Uber disrupted the market massively when they came in.
Yes, in a big way.
And yeah, I love the fact that I can be sitting anywhere in the world on a beach and I can run my business off my phone. The fact of the matter is, when I'm doing my marketing and I'm writing, I want to be on a desktop. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I can run completely my wellbeing business off my phone.
Absolutely.
I've got an app with a library of information, a library of material, and we just click a button. One of the questions you asked Sylvia really struck with me, actually. What would happen if we didn't have any internet?
I was just, it was on the tip of my, okay, I'm going to ask you that question. Do you want, yes, it was on the tip of my tongue, but then I thought, okay, shall I ask it, shall I not ask it? Because Ali will say, oh, I'm gonna retire. And I don't want you to say that.
I'll go back to pen and paper. I'll go up to pen and paper, getting in the car, getting on the bus, getting on the train and going out and meeting people. Because we have to adapt. So if there is no internet, there will be something else that we can do instead. And just trust that process, because there always is. You cut off a leg, you learn to walk on one leg. People
exactly, but do you understand? Do you understand in a scenario like this how valuable people with your experience will be, because they will know how it works?
Well, yes, but it depends who's looking for that information and what value they're putting on it.
Yeah, but if they can't do it online anymore, and you know how it used to work before computers, or when we had those, I remember those computers at school. At school, they used to train us to do coding at school. Yeah, they did. That's in socialist Bulgaria. When I much.
I started in Soho Square in 1978, and
they weren't computers then.
Well, no. When they did have a computer, it was the whole basement of the building.
Oh yeah, those. Yeah.
I then moved to a company called HMSL, who were big management consultants in Victoria in '86. And they had, it wasn't until the 90s I started working on PCs, late 80s, early 90s. So prior to that, we did it all without a computer. How did we manage?
Okay, you are a very, very valuable source. So Sylvia and I will come to you to help us educate our clients how to work with no internet, nothing. Well,
I hope it doesn't happen, because I think we live in a world where we're impatient and it's instant and we want it now. You know, how many times do we click out of a site because it doesn't download quick enough?
Look, we have to be prepared and move both ways of making business together and develop them and protect them, because there are there is huge positive things we can take out from one and the other.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh, that was a brilliant conversation. And before we wrap up, let's be serious.
Okay.
And let's go with the serious tips, specific tips of wisdom. And to the people who are watching us. Oh, by the way, people who are still watching, don't forget to subscribe or follow, because if you're watching, it is worth it, isn't it? Just follow me. So back to you, Ali.
Tips of wisdom. Okay. I think the most important thing, obviously, once you've defined what your product is understanding who your audience are. Because if you don't know who you're talking to, you're just going to be running around like a headless chicken. And sometimes it's much easier to break it down into target groups. Now, you know, I have one client, anybody that drives a car could be a customer. That's much harder to define that audience.
Mm.
But we break it down. We break it down into affordability, lifestyle, various other factors that come into it. Yeah, you know, I'm working with a karate school. Her target audience is very simply adults and kids. Come and learn karate. So in an instance like that, appealing to families and groups through Facebook is a great way to reach people. Instagram, those hashtags are there to help you grow your business. They are there to help you extend your reach in terms of who sees your post. Use them properly. Don't choose hashtags with over 1 million. You'll just end up in a big black hole.
Mm.
And use different hashtags every time. Because if you use the same old hashtags all the time, nothing changes. You're not evolving your page. And the whole essence around Instagram is the hashtags. And I think just be yourself. I think authenticity is the most important, one of the most valuable things. I shy away from people that I don't believe are authentic. I rely on my gut and I'm normally right. And, you know, I'm not suggesting, why would someone not be authentic? You know, we have to embrace each other for who we are, faults and all.
Yeah, this is one word.
Huh?
This is one word I didn't mention during our conversation, because you yourself are so authentic, so different, unforgettable.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely to hear. Yeah, I used to spend years trying to mask who I was. It's very stressful.
Trying to conform with the rest, to be ordinary.
The image of what people used. You know, I worked in a big agency, but I was a maverick. I challenged the status quo, and it got me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It really did. Also won me awards and got me the biggest account group in the agency. So, you know,
be authentic.
I was good at what I did, but you know, sometimes the way I did it wasn't to everybody's liking. When I joined the agency I was working with in 1986, they had never been out and visited their clients. They were an advertising agency and they were completely staffed by HR people because they thought HR people want to speak to HR people. No, they don't. They want to speak to advertising people. And Glaxo, who was a very, very big account, they had just launched Antac and they were going through the roof and they were spending £500,000 a year on advertising. Then, in 1986, they were on the verge of leaving the agency. And everybody, all the senior people, I don't want it, I don't want it. They saw it like a hot potato. If I take this account and it goes, my name's blackened forever. I came in, you know, I thought, well, hang on a minute. If I turn this around, I'll be the hero, won't I?
Yeah.
No one's going to blame me if it goes. It's going anyway. Let me have a stab at it. I took that account on. I parked myself in their reception 3 days a week. There were 25 contacts in HR. I'm like, I'm in reception between 11 and 11:30. Come down and say hi. I put a face to it. I turned that account around into the biggest agency account we had. And it stayed with us with the agency till 1999. It reviewed when I left to set up my own business.
There you go.
So what I'm saying is, you know, but it's all about your approach. And is your glass half full or half empty? And how you look at things. So that's what I said to you going back earlier. I go into a panic. I can't do that. And then I go, I must do that.
And then you go and do it.
And then I do it. Yeah. But, you know, I think that's an important message too, because we all go through it. We all have internal wobbles and there's nothing wrong with that. It's all part of the growing process. And actually it's part of being better at what we do. And what it really shows is how much we care about what we do. Because if you didn't give us stuff, you wouldn't even worry about it.
That's fantastic.
I hope that's been of interest to your readers.
That was so interesting. That was so interesting. And the viewers, because we are releasing it as it is.
Absolutely.
Well,
in raw form.
Alyson Essex, it was a huge honor having you on Empowering the Conscious Business Evolution with me today, the Visionaries interviews. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed our well, it's been just over an hour, hasn't it? It's been
wow. Wow, yes.
It's flown.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. And that was your inspiration to continue empowering your conscious business evolution today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope our conversations will help you take your own steps toward innovating and evolving as a conscious business by making choices for the benefit of people, communities, and environment. If you have any questions to my guests, I will leave their contact details in the description of this post. If you'd like to come to the show and share your wisdom, you're more than welcome. Please write to me to Antonina@visionsinspire.com. But definitely have a listen to all previous interviews and do subscribe to the Visions Inspire YouTube channel for my next show for more inspiration on being part of our conscious business evolution together. Please give Visions Inspire your like on Facebook and follow on Twitter and Instagram. And you share with others to listen, spread the word, grow the knowledge. That's the spirit of the conscious business evolution. Till next time, from me, Antonina Manev, your business growth strategist, turning visions into profitable businesses, and always here to empower the conscious business evolution. Thank you, and till next time.